Hey, New York Giants fans, and welcome back to New York Giants Corner here at T2T Network. Thanks for joining me again. I really appreciate it. The topic tonight is going to be our guy, Saquon Barkley. Definitely been some breaking news with Saquon. Unfortunately, we can't announce a new contract with him, at least just not yet. But there's been a lot of talks on that front. Saquon opened up about a little about that, about the contract negotiations and his frustration with it the other day. And I wanted to give my opinion on Saquon. I've given my opinion a few times on Saquon over the past few months. I think most recently, like maybe like 3 episodes again. But that was kind of like sandwiched into an episode of Daniel Jones and OTAs. And I just wanted to make an episode dedicated to Saquon Barkley because he deserves a dedication. Before we get into the content, real quickly, if you can, hit that like and subscribe button. Give us that 5-star Apple review if you could. It really helps us out a lot. Where you can find the show: Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Podbean, and Spotify. Our beautiful website, toiletstotitles.com, has all of our videos and articles. We cover everything to do with football. We cover college football. We cover NFL football, fantasy football. That was our original content, fantasy football. We branched out all over the place, but we still cover fantasy football in a big way. We cover college football, the NFL draft. We just had a kick-ass NFL draft here at T2T. We had boots on the ground at Senior Bowl, boots on the ground at Combine, and we were getting inside information at the draft. As a matter of fact, we were announcing the picks on Twitter and live here on YouTube, like a minute before the picks were announced, before the picks were officially announced. So remember that. So next year in the 2024 NFL draft, where do you want to go to follow the draft, the NFL draft? You want to come here to Toilets Titles, T2T Network. That's where you want to come. But anyway, anything to do with football, we covered. We have partnered with at the CFB Nation. That stands for the College Football Nation. Basically, they handle all of our college content. Once those players enter the draft, they come to Toilets to Titles. And together, the CFB Nation and Toilets to Titles, we are T2T Network. Almost last but not least, patreon.com/Toilets to Titles. If you go there, you can learn how you can further support us. And I want to say thank you to our current Patreon supporters because we greatly appreciate you appreciating us. And last but not least, Gilded. We have our own chat in Gilded. So reach out to us. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to Toilets to Titles. You can reach out to the CFB Nation. And we've got like 15 to 20 people who make up the entire network. So you can reach out to any of us about joining our Gilded chat. And in there, we talk anything football, especially fantasy football in season, especially fantasy football. You have any questions? Come on in. You want to chat some? If you got some questions, if you're unsure who to start, who to sit, any trades you want to make in fantasy football, come on in. We will give you advice. We are loaded with very experienced and knowledgeable fantasy football players. So you want to get into our Gilded chat, you'll enjoy it a lot. And that's it, guys. Let's get to our content. All right, Saquon Barkley. All right, so I have evolved on Saquon, where let me start off over here with Saquon. Okay, first of all, I always wanted to, I always wanted to retain him as a Giant, and I was always willing to pay more than others to retain him. There are people, fans, Giants fans, or fans of other teams who opine on Saquon, who say they wouldn't pay more than like $10 million or $10.5 million for a running back because that's what the market is showing. And right now, the running back market, did crater this year. And not completely surprised. I am surprised by how much it cratered, but it's not a complete surprise. However, I was always willing to pay more. I was always, even the beginning of this whole process, going back months ago, I would have been, fine, completely fine, paying Saquon like $12.5 million a year. I know other people maybe had their limits of like 10 and a half, 11.5 million a year. I was always fine months ago paying Saquon $12.5 million a year, even like 3 years fully guaranteed, to be honest with you. If you gave him a 4-year deal, you give him 3 years fully guaranteed at like $36 million. Wouldn't have bothered me at all. But you do have to have a limit on every player, I guess, out there, regardless of the player, regardless of the position. However, and I do too, and I do too. And Saquon have for a long time has basically told us, what that ceiling is that what he's looking for, and that is basically Christian McCaffrey money. He didn't say that directly, but at the end of last season, he said that he was not looking to set the running back market, but that he was, looking to get, fair compensation for what he's worth. Now, if he's not looking to set the running back market, if he's not looking to reset the running back market, then right now the biggest running back contract I believe that's ever been given out, I believe, was Christian McCaffrey, which was given out a few years ago. At it was a 4-year deal worth $64 million a year. And so that comes out to $16 million a year. So $64 million a year over 4 years, that comes out to $16 million a year. Now, I think the second highest paid running back might be getting $14 million a year. Maybe it's Derrick Henry. I don't really recall. It might be Derrick Henry. But I think another player is getting like 14, another might be getting 13, 13 and a half. However, I am fine. I used to say, okay, I'm not going to go above like I was actually okay with 13.5 million a few months ago. And I was like, you do have to draw a line somewhere. Running back position is what it is, even though I'm willing to pay more than the vast majority of other people out there. If I were the Giants GM, you know, I'm well above the current running back market. Um, and Christian McCaffrey has had a better career than Saquon so far. Um, McCaffrey's had an injury. I think he's had a torn ACL, just like Saquon. But Saquon, when you think of what other player, what other running back is Saquon most consistently compared to? Who does he remind you of the most? Is it not Christian McCaffrey? And maybe he's not as good as Christian McCaffrey. And I'm not fully convinced about that. Maybe he's not as good as Christian McCaffrey, but he's damn close. Okay, he's damn close. And Saquon Barkley is a special player and a special teammate for this organization where I would be willing to match Christian McCaffrey's money. I think he's earned it. Let me go through my bullet points over here that I jotted down before I started the show. And I apologize if it seems so dark in here. It's ridiculous. My house is not dark. But I guess I have a built-in camera in my computer here, and I think it kind of like overcompensates for light, dark, and it doesn't really compensate well. So I think it's the camera that makes it look darker than it really is here. So I apologize if the screen and if I seem dark over here. It's kind of ridiculous. There we go, a little better. But anyway, so all right, he is a superstar. There's no doubt about that. There are few players in this game today that are as good as he is. Um, this is a guy who has put up when he's been fully healthy. All right, he's played for the Giants 5 seasons now. In 2 of those seasons, he's been fully healthy. His rookie year and last year. His second year, he got off to a very good Saquon type start, and then he played like 6 games with a high ankle sprain. All right. I think some other players would have stayed out longer than he did. I think he only missed a game and a half because of the high ankle sprain. But he went out there and he played, and you can see he was not the same player, but he went out there and he played with a high ankle sprain. And it affected his numbers. I think he got over 2,000. He got over 1,000 yards rushing that year, just barely. But it was because he was playing with the high ankle sprain for at least like a third of the season, at least. Um, and that's the type of player he is. That the guy is when he's injured, he's going to go out and play, unless he just simply really, really can't play. The year after that, early in that season, torn ACL, done for the year. The following year, which is 2 seasons ago, his fourth year, um, he was, I'm sorry, yeah, his fourth year. Okay, he's back from the ACL, game one, but the entire season, you can see he's not the same player. And why? Because it takes yes, you can be on the field and playing football a year after the torn ACL. But it's very common knowledge that the vast majority of the time, not all the time, but the vast majority of the time, it takes a full year. You can be on the field, but it really takes 2 years to get back to normal. So yes, you can be on the field, you can be playing football, but it's not really until the following year where you're going to be back to being the same player. And we saw that last year. That was last year, and he was Saquon again. He wasn't necessarily rookie Saquon, but he was damn close. He was phenomenal last year. And he was the best player on the offense. And I'm a huge Daniel Jones supporter. I've got no problem in saying that Saquon was the best player because he's an awesome player. He's a superstar. He is a player that he does things that only a handful of other NFL players can do. And he is a superstar. You know, People refer to him as just a running back. He's not. He's a superstar playing out of the running back position. And that's a point that I've been hammering home ever since he was drafted. Would I at the time have drafted him number 2 overall? No. I would have traded back and I would have, accumulated more draft picks and, gone in a different direction at that time. But unless he was actually, say we traded back to number 6 and if he felt it was the number 6 and we still had that, the other draft picks that we would have picked up for trading back, I would have taken him at number 6, absolutely, because he was the best player in that draft, probably. Him and Miles, no, him and there was a defensive end out there, Bradley Chubb, I think it was. I think it was Bradley Chubb. But anyway, so I knew ever since we drafted him, or even before we drafted him, this dude he is a special weapon that plays out of the running back position. He's not just a running back. He's very good in the receiving game, but just even as a runner, I mean, he's special. He is a running back. He is a 3 down running back, and he is a 3 down running back that can take it to the house on any given play from your own 1 yard line. He can do it. He's got that type of speed where he doesn't just have burst. Some players just have burst and they're quick early on, with a quick burst, and they can get like a little bit ahead of steam, but they really can't they really don't have they can't really go for the long run. Not every player can do that. He can do it. He's done it before. You get the ball in his hands any which way, he is a nightmare. He's rare. He's rare. Okay. I think it's easier to find a wide receiver 1 than it is to find a player like Saquon Barkley out of the running back position, playing out of the running back position. I think he's like Christian McCaffrey. Um, I know it's going to sound crazy because this is a passing league and everyone's obsessed with wide receivers, but I think I may actually take a Saquon Barkley over some of the many of the wide receiver ones out there. Maybe not all of them, but I think the vast majority of them, is he gives you production out of the running back position. That's pretty crazy. You look at the 2 years that Saquon's been healthy, okay, fully healthy. His rookie year, he had 2,028 yards combined from scrimmage. That was 11 rushing touchdowns and 4 receiving touchdowns, a total of 15 touchdowns and a little over 2,000 yards combined from scrimmage his rookie year. Last year, he had 10 rushing touchdowns. He didn't have any receiving touchdowns, but he had 10 rushing touchdowns. And he had a total of 1,650 yards from scrimmage. So that's in total. That's both rushing and receiving. There aren't too many wide receivers that can say that that can put up 1,650 yards. There aren't too many elite wide receivers that can say they put up over 2,000 yards from scrimmage. But here's a guy in 2 seasons, healthy, has put up almost 4,000 yards from scrimmage in 2 seasons. He's put up almost 4,000 yards. Well, he's put up 3,750 yards from scrimmage, 2 years healthy combined. He's also put up a total of 25 touchdowns those 2 healthy years. That's a lot of production. And for me, I don't really care where that production's coming from. I don't care if it's wide receiver. I don't care if it's Travis Kelsey at a tight end. I don't care if it's running back. I'm actually even more impressed that it's from running back. I'd say it's most impressive when it comes from tight end, because that's where you really rarely see any type of major production. That's the one offensive position where you rarely see any type of production like that. and it's so rare that it makes Travis Kelsey even more valuable. But running backs and wide receivers, I'll take that type of production from any position, and I'm willing to pay for it too. So you know what? You think about it, Saquon, Saquon might be a steal. Saquon is a steal if you look at it this way, and this is how I kind of look at it. You're getting incredible production from Saquon out of the running back position. Same type of production that you'd be getting from a wide receiver one, an elite wide receiver one, a Justin Jefferson, a Tyreek Hill, an AJ Brown, and a fully healthier AJ Brown, a Justin Jefferson, if I mentioned him already, Stephon Diggs. Saquon Barkley gives you that type of production. I realize it's not in the passing game, it's not in the receiving game. And his yards are going to be, he's not going to be getting like these 20, 30-yard plays as often as wide receivers do, but he does. He's got plenty of explosive plays out of the running back position. So he's putting up these massive yards out of the running back position where I'm willing to pay him $16 million, just like Christian McCaffrey. I'm getting like, on a healthy year, a minimum of 1,650, 1,650 yards. And meanwhile, you're going to pay an elite wide receiver like $24 million a year at this point. That's what the wide receiver market is at. The wide receiver market for an elite wide receiver, I think Stephon Diggs is getting $24 million. His new contract, he's getting $24 million a year, or at least he's getting $24 million this year. But I believe it's $24 million a year for how many years? Okay. Elite wide receivers are getting like $22 to $24 million a year, and they probably still won't give you the same amount of production that Saquon will for $16.5 million a year. But one guy plays out of the wide receiver position, and another guy plays out of the running back position. And I say, what does it matter? If you're getting incredible production out of any position, you pay for it. And here's another thing, another reason to pay Saquon Barkley. It's probably going to be no more than a 4-year contract, and probably no more than 3 years fully guaranteed. If you're paying an elite wide receiver, it's going to take more than that. You're probably looking at least at 4 years guaranteed and at least a 5-year deal. Okay, so you're looking at even more money. If you're paying an elite, say we were going to trade Saquon for Stephon Diggs, sounds great. Everyone loves the passing game. Everyone says you need an explosive wide receiver. I agree that you need explosive plays. But what makes Saquon, one of the reasons why he's special is that he gives you explosive plays out of the running back position. Not all running backs can do that. But you're going to pay, if you were to trade Saquon, say, for Stephon Diggs, and you're paying like $24 or $22 million a year, you're going to get the same production. I realize you're going to get, Saquon's got to touch the ball more in order to get that type of yardage than a Stephon Diggs would. Stephon Diggs would probably get like, I don't know, 100 receptions, 90 receptions, 105 receptions. Meanwhile, Saquon's going to touch the ball like double that. So I realize he's got to touch the ball more, but he does a lot more. He does a lot with that, with those touches. And he is a weapon in the receiving game. He's a weapon all the way around. And you'd be paying $16 million a year as opposed to $22 or $24 million a year for a wide receiver one. That's $8 million in savings I'm basically giving you people. I'm giving you $8 million a year in savings, and I'm giving you the same production as a wide receiver one. Not exactly, but kind of. At the end of the day, if you look at the yards and the touchdowns, Saquon's got the same production, when he's fully healthy as an elite wide receiver, and you're paying $8 million less. Okay. I think that's a wonderful deal. Now, if you want to show me, he's our one superstar on offense, a one offensive weapon that's a proven superstar. Now, if we had, a Bengals situation where you've got Jamar Chase and Higgins to worry about paying, and they franchised Mixon. They gave him the tag, Joe Mixon, deservedly so. He's been really good for the past 2 years. He's always been a very good running back, but he's been healthy finally for the past few years, and he's played like a real stud. Now, if you want to show me that we've got Saquon Barkley and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and you want to give me that tough decision to make, okay, that's a different story. But as Giants fans, we know we do not have that. We don't have that. We don't have that situation. We don't have, Hakeem Nicks and Victor Cruz and Saquon Barkley to worry about, who we're going to keep over the next few years, who we're going to be able to, where we're going to put our financial resources. We don't have that situation right now. And who knows? Maybe we wind up trading for an elite wide receiver next year. I don't think that's going to be happening this offseason. But we don't have them right now. We're probably going to have to wind up drafting a guy who will wind up becoming an elite wide receiver for us. Who knows? Maybe he's on the team. Say it is Jalen Hyde. Say it's Jalen Hyde. Say he winds up developing into, even this year, say he blows everyone's socks off and he plays like an elite wide receiver better than even I thought. I think Jalen Hyde, I'm really excited we got him. I think he's going to be a really nice weapon in our arsenal. I'm just unsure exactly where his ceiling, how high it's going to be. Like, my point of argument here is that Jalen Hyde, even if he were to become an elite wide receiver this year for the Giants, we're not going to have to worry about paying that guy for quite a long time. And if it's only a 4-year contract for Saquon, where say it's like 3 years guaranteed, there will be no overlap over there. Say Jalen Hyde actually turns into that elite wide receiver, or say Isaiah Hodgins, whoever. By the time those guys come up for contract, or at least Hyatt, by the time he comes up for contract, if he were to develop into an elite wide receiver, Saquon Barkley's contract is going to be over. So my main point is that he's the one superstar weapon we're looking at paying. And here's something I completely disagree with, and I think it's so disingenuous. There have been a lot of people that have been making the argument, and these are people who never really wanted to retain Daniel Jones, or they were never on board for retaining Daniel Jones at $40 million a year, which is what he got. Okay. And this is the argument they've been making. Well, you could have kept Saquon, and just tag Daniel Jones, or you could have kept Saquon and let Daniel Jones walk. No, it's a BS argument. It's not either or. The Giants can afford to keep both of these players, even without, hurting your ability to retain other young players that you're going to want to keep. Like Andrew Thomas is an absolute must. Andrew Thomas is a must over any other Giant that has been drafted over the past few years. He is a must over Dexter Lawrence. He is a must over Saquon Barkley. And I'm not going to say he's a must over Daniel Jones, because Jones is my guy. But there's no way in hell Andrew Thomas can be ever allowed to leave this team. He must be paid as left tackle number 1 in the league, because he's going to be worth it. All right. Retaining Saquon Barkley is not going to prevent you from doing that. It's not going to prevent you from retaining McKinney if you want to do that too. You can keep these young guys. We're not that overloaded with young studs that we're not going to be able to retain these guys. All right. And not all of their contracts are going to overlap. Say Kayvon Thibodeau goes off the wall crazy. I expect him to be even a lot better this year. I thought he had a good rookie year. I think Thibodeau's going to take an even much bigger step forward this year. You're not going to be paying Thibodeau for a few more years. These contracts, not all these contracts are going to be overlapping. They will be manageable. You can extend contracts out. I'm not worried about that at all, and neither should you. Neither should you. So when someone says to you that you can either have, you could have either had Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley. You can't have both. That's not true at all. It's not a problem to keep both of them. And I do try to act like a GM. I try to think like a GM and think about, all right, if I'm a GM, I've got to look at the short term, the medium term, and the long term. And I don't see any way how this would affect the Giants, negatively in the short term, the medium term, or the long term. It's positives all the way down, all across the board. If you gave Saquon Christian McCaffrey money, the only thing that hurts is image. Okay, that's the only thing that hurts. If you're the Giants organization, if you're the Giants GM, you're gonna have everyone else saying, "Well, you overpaid for Saquon. Are you kidding? The running back market just cratered." Saquon Barkley means a lot to this organization. It's not just that he is the best weapon on this team. He is an outstanding citizen for this team. So that's something else that's on top of it too. This is an ultimate team player, just like Daniel Jones, an ultimate team player. And when he says he wants to be a New York Giant for life, I absolutely believe him. But there's nothing wrong with wanting to be a Giant for life and getting being paid like the best or second or third best running back in the league at your position. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And so if he says that he's not looking to reset the market, but he just wants fair compensation, I take that as okay. He'll take Christian McCaffrey's contract or something very close to it. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. But again, I think his character and what he means to this team, how professional he is worth something too. It really is. So you can throw that into the mix. I don't think every single player is replaceable. I don't think you can't just throw in another running back in there, and he might be very good, but he's not necessarily going to care about the organization or his team as much as Saquon. Okay, so it means a lot to me. He takes his job very seriously. He was just working out with Daniel Jones and some of the other guys like Darren Waller and Slayton and some of the others over in Arizona. He didn't have to do that. He knows how to play the game. He didn't have to do that, but yet there he was, out in Arizona practicing with Daniel and Waller and quite a few of the other receiving weapons too. Um, he takes his body very seriously. He takes his job very seriously. You're not going to have to worry about any stupid videos popping up with Saquon Barkley. So all this is means something to me, and it should mean something to you as a Giants fan too. And I think I've pretty much made all my points here. So again, Saquon Barkley, why I'm paying the dude? He is a superstar. He is only like a handful of other running backs, and there's probably only like one other running back, and that's Christian McCaffrey. All right, those two are probably unlike all the other running backs in the league for quite a few different reasons. When healthy, he's been a major producer, and I'd say like McCaffrey, as big a producer as any elite wide receiver. He's been an ideal citizen for the Giants. He plays when he's injured, and he can play. He's done it many times. This dude plays injured. He takes his job seriously on the field and off the field. He is a high character guy. He says he wants to be a Giant for life. That means something for me, and I believe him. Okay. And again, we're not paying any elite wide receiver ones anytime soon. So there's no reason not to pay Saquon like McCaffrey if that's what it takes. And again, signing Saquon to big money will not prevent us from retaining any other young key players who we want to keep, like Andrew Thomas and Xavier McKinney. All right. So that's it, guys. But I just can't say enough about Saquon. I think he's awesome. Love the dude. But again, another key point here is that Saquon Barkley puts up the same numbers that elite wide receivers put up. And, such as a Stephon Diggs and a Justin Jefferson, he puts up the same numbers. He needs more carries. He needs more touches. I get that, but he puts up the same numbers, and he's going to be putting it up even with a McCaffrey-like contract. Saquon Barkley will be putting up the same numbers as these elite wide receivers for like $6 to $8 million a year less. All right, you're going to be getting like 1,500 yards, 1,700 yards combined from scrimmage from Saquon Barkley, and probably like anywhere from 12 to 15 touchdowns for $6 to $8 million less than you would pay for an elite wide receiver. There you go. Anyway, guys, before I go, that's my rant for the day. If you can, Twitter handles here at Toils of Titles and the CFB Nation. If you could give us all a follow, I'd really greatly appreciate it. There's like 20 of us now. I hope I have all the Twitter handles down here. It's always changing. We're always adding new people. Also, if you can, another friendly reminder to please hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell, and give us a 5-star Apple review. Why? Because we deserve it. Just kidding. Well, we do deserve it. I'm somewhat kidding, but we do deserve it. But it would help us out so much if we can do that. And tell your friends to check out New York Giants Corner at T2T. Check us out. I'd love to listen, guys. If you're ever in the chat, I'd love for you to pop in the chat. Say hello, throw some questions out there. I'd even like to get people in here through just on StreamYard. If you're in the chat, you want to come on the show, let me know, and I will have you in. I'll send you the StreamYard link, and you can come on the show. I'd be happy to talk Giants football live with you. So anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Let's get Saquon Barkley signed. I want to keep that guy happy. Why? Because he wants to keep us happy. I'm out of here. I'll catch you next week. Take care.